fatal heart impacts, past painful scars. In fact, I blast tasteful bars and pass. I back up my actions, fact don't ask, grab reactions, jacked attack with every word, then act with class as they hear me snap. I got nothing to lose, cause I fought and felt the bruise. Now I'm not the one confused, call the shots and they produce. I ain't lost, I'm finally loose. Pick a new silver excuse, I need the views to boost me to a new abuse of being used. Everybody wants a piece now, y'all can rest in peace now. You're dead to me, so peace out. Remember, you're discreet out. Get ready for defeat now.
Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kiru Show here. And now, whenever we last left off with this series, we had Izuku, who he has been traveling with Lee and Bella. These three have made it to their nation's capital. Midoriya, he did then go to the church and find another Blade of the Demon Lord followers. Now, the holy priest, or, well, not grand priest, but the leader of the church, let's say, or at least somebody who is a follower of the church, they did then take Midoriya to see the sword, after he made a sizable donation. Now, Midoriya, he did then pull this other sword from the stone and unite it with his own, the two blades turning into one. Now, with that, Midoriya, he did then go to meet up with Lee and Bella, where we do currently have them checking into the inn and getting their things unpacked, or at least put into the rooms. Now, Midoriya, he has informed the people here that they're going to be staying here for quite a bit of time, since Midoriya, he does want to basically move everything they had to this nation capital. Now, with that being said, Midoriya, yeah, after everything was unpacked and all said and done, he did inform these two that they are going to be doing intense training for the next 2 weeks. And you do actually have Lee, who is excited and, well, just fired up. Yeah, what is she going to do? What is she going to do? And you do have Midoriya, who did give her a task that will be very challenging. Now, Midoriya, he did have Lee go off and do this task on her own, which will be to at least do a mission for the guild that is at least level 3 difficulty. While Midoriya and Belle are left alone. And Midoriya, he did decide to begin to teach her how to at least cast his fireball spell. Now, Belle, she did find this to be quite hard. And Midoriya, he was teaching her for at least 2 to 3 hours straight, along with her giving it her best attempt. Now, Midoriya, he understands that offensive magic might be difficult for her. However, Midoriya, he did also throw out the idea of her even using a blade, or even just, well, sticking to healing magic as how she does use her mana. Now, you do have where Belle, she was kind of disappointed by this. If she is the party's healer, then she's going to lag behind. Everyone else is going to get stronger and she'll be seen as somebody to protect. She'll be a crutch. Or they'll be her crutch. She can only ever rely on them and not even herself. Now, this did kind of enrage her. And she did throw her own little tantrum. Now, we do actually have Midoriya, who he does try to think of an idea. As you do actually have Belle, who would go back to the inn and at least lock herself in the room. Midoriya, him heading out to try and find a solution. Now, Midoriya, he's currently walking down the streets of the city capital. A lot of people, they do look his way, since he's a very strange looking man. His face and neck are covered in scars. Along with that, the top of his head, or at least the top of his hair, is in a ponytail. Meanwhile, down the lower back part of his head, it all does hang down and cover the back of his neck. He looks like a shaggy man. However, people can tell that he's clearly quite young. Now, Midoriya, for those wondering, he is 15. He was killed during the Sludge Villain while he was 14. Now, it's also at least been 2 months, or at least a month since whenever Midoriya would be technically considered 14 or 15. I'm still not sure how. I don't know when the anime started actually, so I can't give an accurate reading on that, so let's just ignore it. Anyways, now, Midoriya, he does eventually barge into a shop, as he does see the man. Midoriya, him looking around the shop, as he does ask if the man does know any specialized magic, or if he sells magical scrolls. I'm sorry, young man. Those items, they're what? They're very expensive. So I don't believe I can. What's the price on them? Young man, many of my items, they've all been bought out. Really? Midoriya, casting his bloodlust, as the man, he does stare directly at Midoriya. Midoriya, leaning in a bit closer, asking the man if he's actually telling the truth. Yes, I don't have any of those. All right. Well, Midoriya going to leave. As he does stop. Turning to look at the man, he does say that if he finds out he was lying, then they're going to have a bit of a problem. Now, Midoriya, he does then begin to start heading to every shop he can find in town. A lot of items, they're sold out. And others, Midoriya, yeah. He wanted to teach her his fireball magic. There are some strange and peculiar things he has found that he could use. However, many things aren't right. Now, Midoriya, he does eventually land outside of a very expensive shop. Midoriya walking in as he does see men who are in full plates of armor, and they do at least have insignias on their clothing. Now, the men are all boasting about how they are going to enter the tournament, and how they all need to at least gear up properly. Now, the men, they do all go to head outside. As one of them, they do actually bump into Midoriya, and Midoriya, he does actually go to trip one of them. Now, as it does happen, Midoriya, he does continue walking. The man falling onto the ground as he does get back up and scream furiously at Midoriya, asking him if he's gonna watch where he's looking. You bumped into me. It's not my fault you can't stand up properly. What was that, you dirty rat? Him going to say. Now, Midoriya, he does completely turn around and look at this guy's level. This guy's level 62. So, clearly this is going to be a bit of a problem, isn't it? Now, the guy, he does start to walk forwards and draw his weapon. And Midoriya, he does notice a few things. No one's saying anything, they're all standing by. Along with that, this guy's a human. And from what he can tell, that's a city guard outfit, or at least an insignia of the Holy Knights that do guard and protect this region. So, just as he did think, the capital's dirty as well. Now, the man, he does go to bring out his giant sword, as he does go to swing it directly down and attack Midoriya, telling him to respond whenever he's giving him an order. Now, you do actually have Midoriya who does go to bring up his hand and directly smack the blade away. Midoriya smacking the blade to his left as it does cleave down towards the ground. Midoriya, him then going to draw his own blade as he does directly bring it up to the man's throat. And the man, he does actually feel it. Him bringing his head up since he was trying to evade. The tip of my blade is currently pointing at your jugular artery. If I move it about half an inch to the left or half an inch to the right, I can cause quite a bit of damage. Do you want me to explain what happens after I cut it? Hey, listen, you don't have to be so. Midoriya stepping a bit closer, into the man's reach. As he does then continue to explain that he's simply here to shop for a magic item. And he doesn't want to have to deal with him. Listen here, you clearly don't know who runs this town, do you? Midoriya is staring down at the man, as the guy he does encounter Midoriya's pure bloodlust. Now, the guy he does feel that, as he is going to bring his sword upwards and try and cleave it directly to the left, and at least hit Midoriya in his hip or something. As it does happen, Midoriya he does jump up into the air, his blade still pointed at the man's throat as he does land directly on the flat side of it. And he does just start to crouch, informing the man that he was trying to be at least somewhat civilized. Before Midoriya he does back the blade away and bring up his left leg, him smashing the man directly in the face as he does drop his sword. Now, the man he does stumble backwards and gets sent flying away. As Midoriya he does then go to quickly move his feet downwards and smash the blade onto the ground, turning and going to walk back inside the shop. Now, the man he does see what Midoriya has done. And Midoriya, he does ask the man if he has any magical items that have anything to do with flames. Sorry, young man. The only thing I have left are, well, just very rare pieces. I see. The tournament's in 2 weeks and everyone's already stocked up on supplies. Yes, son. Usually people want to get here about a month in advance. Or at least a month and a half. That's whenever we get our stocks. It's a shame. Now, Midoriya would ask the man about these magic items, as he would explain them. Him holding up a book and then what appears to be a crystal on a necklace. Him informing Midoriya that both of these two items have to do with flames. However, he also does have similar items in the back dealing with different elements. Now, Midoriya would ask the price on both of these items, and he does hear a number that does at least make his eyes wince. Now, the book itself, yeah, that is going to cost at least 100 silver pieces. And the stone, to put it in the best way, that's at least 300 silver. Now, this does surprise Midoriya, as he does, at least, go to look towards the stone. He's going to basically blow all of the earnings for silver that they got on that one dungeon. So that does suck. Silver is the currency people use for inns. However, for magic items and bargaining, silver is quite useful. It is used for weapons and, well, armor and stuff like that. And then there's copper, which is used for food. They've got loads of copper. However, silver and, yeah. Midoriya mainly uses that stuff to pay for the inn. And he knows that if he does buy the silver or buy the book or the necklace for silver, he's going to have a lot of trouble explaining this purchase. Now, Midoriya would go to reach for his bag as he does then set it down on the table, talking about how he'll take that necklace then. Wow, I did not expect that. It's for a friend of mine. This must be a pretty important friend of yours. Now, the man he would count the coins, and he would then hand over the necklace to Midoriya. Now, as he does so, Midoriya would walk away and head directly back towards where they're staying. As Midoriya he would go to directly enter the room where Bella has locked herself in. Now, this was quite insane. Belle, all of a sudden she was sitting there and she was at least trying to maintain her cool. Midoriya knocking on the door before she did run over and directly answer it. As she did, do that out of instinct. Now, she did open the door and then see Midoriya. Her quickly going to close it as he does throw out his fist, and she does slam the door on his arm. Now, she does go to apologize as Midoriya does let go or open his hand, and she does see a crystal on a string. What is that? Well, if you can get the door off my arm, I can explain. Now, Midoriya would tell her what it is, and she would put it on the necklace and find that whenever she does actually at least try to pour mana into her hands, she can at least see flames. And she does go to try and cast Fireball. Now, this does somewhat work. Her hands, they do at least produce a small ball of fire before it does at least go boom. And Midoriya does take her outside, since if she does this wrong, a lot of damage can be caused, and all of their stuff can end up on fire. Now, you do then have Midoriya does instruct her to at least practice magic with that thing, and at least, for the very least, train hard, as he does go to catch up with Lee. Now, Midoriya, yeah. He does go to the guild hall and learn that Lee, she took on a difficult quest, as he does at least catch up to her somewhat quickly. And the two, they do both adventure together, heading back to the inn later that night with some copper, silver, and gold coins. As they all do begin to start training harder. Now, the next morning Midoriya, he does see something quite strange. Whenever he did sit down with both Lee and Bell, he was able to see both of their levels. Midoriya, he saw that Lee's level, she jumped from 13 to 15 during their quest. However, she's currently level 16. That doesn't add up. How did she gain that extra level overnight? And then there is Belle, who, she looks exhausted. And her level it went from at least somewhere between a 5 and 8 to a level 9. Now, Roy, he does stare down at both of these two. And both of them, they do at least shoot straight up and act like they aren't tired. Okay, something strange going on here. They're training in secret. I think I didn't notice. Now, Roy would ask the two if they're alright to go on an adventure today. Yeah, we're fine. No, neither of you are. Listen, don't push it. Now, they're both very surprised to hear that. As Midoriya, he does get up and go to leave. As he does tell the two that he's walking into the forest and he won't be back for at least the day before the fighting tournament. Now, Midoriya, he would do this, venturing into the forest to try to fight very tough creatures. As the two do get worried after he's been gone for 4 days. However, with Midoriya out of the way and at least them not having to work around him, they can train in secret more, and at least to a better degree. Now, we do actually have then Midoriya, he would come back. As he does arrive, he has increased his level quite a lot. Midoriya encountered as he would put it, giant bear with a horn and biceps. Or at least what a bear would look like if it had access to actual muscle building equipment. And then he also did fight a giant gorilla. It looked like it took steroids and at least knew how to wield a sword. Now, Midoriya, he does think. Both of those, they were at least unique encounters. So he did at least grind a few levels, or at least a level or two, killing each one of those things alone. Now, Midoriya, he also does think. he has increased his proficiency with his skills, along with leveling up a few things, along with gaining a skill that Midoriya he really wants to show off. Now, we do actually have where everybody they do gather, and Bell and Lee are both concerned for Midoriya. Now, Midoriya he did arrive back home the night before the tournament. The two surprised to find him laying down on the ground whenever they did both wake up. As Midoriya he jumped up, and all three of them they did head out. As they did take all the stuff they do need and head out for the tournament. Now, they would arrive at this designated location. And you do have Midoriya, he does see that it's sort of like a martial arts or Budokai type thing. A whole lot of people are all surrounded together. And they've all been informed that their large group are going to be doing a battle royale. Only the top 10 people here from this large group will be participating. And we do cut to at least 10 minutes later where everybody but Midoriya and Lee and Bell, they've all been taken down. Now, Bell, she's increased her level to at least level 15. And Lee, she went from at least 17 to, I want to say a sizable jump would be 23. Now, Bell, she benefited a lot more from their training. Along with that, they did take on at least level 4 quest for a few days, and then train hard at night. Now, this was quite interesting. And we do have where a few people they do see Midoriya and these two. Them commenting on the demi-humans who did make it into the selection. Now, we do have where these 10 participants, they do meet up with other people from their own group. And they are actually then greeted by the king, along with his wife and the princess of this nation. Now, we do actually have wherever they do go to bend down into one knee, and you do actually have Midoriya, who he does just stand there, and he does just keep his hands up. Or at least he does stay on his feet. Now, you do actually have where a guard does try to force Midoriya down onto his knees. Midoriya, looking at the guy's hand, he does go to grab it with his right and directly spin him over and toss him directly towards a wall. Midoriya sending the guy 60 feet with that one simple toss alone. Now, you do actually have where the guards, they do go to bring up their weapons and go to threaten Midoriya, informing him to kneel before his majesty. And Midoriya, he did just look back at the guards and use his bloodlust. Now, you do actually have where a few guards they did drop down onto their knees, and many others they were sent running. And the king he did ask this young warrior to please stop using magic. Midoriya looking back at the king and informing him that he will not kneel. Alright, this is a very complex situation, young man. You have to kneel before me, it is procedure. I said I won't kneel to you. If you have a problem with that, then you should understand. Now, he does talk about how he has no master, and he never will have one again. If he has one again, he'll simply execute them as well like he executed Oswald. Or Oxwald. Yeah, I think I said that right. Now, the king's eyes do widen, as he does ask him if he is a former slave. And then people, they do look over in Midoriya's direction. Midoriya, he does just grit his teeth, and he does show a threatening glance at the king, asking if that's a problem for him. No, young man, it is not. However, I am confused as to how you escaped the slave crest. Now, a lot of people, they are surprised. They didn't even think about that. The fact that he's here and that strong was just enough for them. Now, Roy would just tell the king that that's his own little secret. And if he has any intention of putting him back in that life, then he'll burn this entire place to the ground. No, young man, that is. Now, the princess would stand up, and she does actually go to walk down towards Midoriya. The king going to stand up and inform his daughter to stop. Now, this is where the princess she would directly walk forwards and stand in front of Midoriya, as she does ask if she can check, since she's very skeptical. Now, Midoriya he would just do one thing, bringing up his hands and undoing his cloak as he does drop the piece of fabric covered in wolf skins. Midoriya then spinning around and pulling up the back of the hair covering his neck. Now, the girl she does see that, and she just nod to her father, and he does inform Midoriya that he may remain standing. Now, the man he does know Midoriya, and Midoriya, he feels like he's seen that king from somewhere. Now, everybody else they do stare at him. This is the first time they've ever heard of something like this happening. A slave escaping a, well, binding magic or servant magic, as they would call it. It's nearly unheard of. Sure, some spells aren't as good in other nations. However, here they've been perfected. Here their magic is top notch, because it has to be, in order for these things to not happen. Now, we do have where the king he does inform everyone that they are going to be set in the forest and they will be using observation magic to keep an eye on them. And this is quite interesting, as you do then have where everybody they are taken away, and they are all dropped off in the middle of the forest. Now, you do actually have Midoriya, who he knows for a fact that this game has got to be rigged. He heard holy knights talking about participating, and he is guessing that since the kingdom is greedy the way it is and corrupt, that there are holy knights participating in this duel. Since if they do win, it does mean the kingdom they won't have to pay out to the winner. Now, Midoriya he does know how smart of a tactic this is. If they keep the money inside the kingdom and don't pay anyone, that's a lot of money they draw in just from tourism alone to watch these fights. And it does bring a lot of business to their city. Now, it also does distract from a few things that do happen in the background. So, Midoriya he can see exactly how corrupt and clever this nation truly is. He knows for a fact that it might not be worth saving. However, he does want to at least try to hold on to a little bit of compassion. If this is truly a not rigged game, he'll at least think about sparing it. However, he does also wonder. Midoriya think that if he ever does level up enough, this might be the first place he does take out and destroy. Just for the simple fact that it still does allow those slavery laws to exist. Now, with that being said, Midoriya he does get prepared for battle, as he does draw his weapon, and being able to at least pay attention to the area all around him as he does move. Now, the king he does watch these games happen, as we do actually have where he does look at somebody, and then go to whisper something to the man. And the man he does quickly go to run away. Now, this man he does use a magical item to communicate with the holy knights hidden within the games, as he does instruct one of them to go and take out the man with many scars, and the one that is a former slave. Now, the man he does go for Midoriya, as we do actually cut to him, where people they do see him quickly running through the forest, and carrying a sword and magical items. Now, he does step into Midoriya's 1 mile radius of hearing. Midoriya hearing a twig break as he does immediately go from slipping down into the river to turning to face that way. And we actually do have where the king, he does notice Midoriya take up a defensive stance, as Midoriya he does then bring up his hands. Now, the king he does see that weapon Midoriya does hold, and he's very surprised by it. It looks like a replica of the Sword of Darkness. Now, Midoriya he is not holding that sword. That this king does know. And he is not holding the sword of the Demon Lord follower anymore. He's wielding the sword of the Demon Lord devoted followers, or the worshipper of the Demon Lord devoted. Now, sword of the devoted Demon Lord follower. That one sounds better, actually. Now, with that being said, we do actually have Midoriya, he does wait for the man. And the man he does come running out of the tree line as Midoriya, he does see him. The man surprised Midoriya, he was standing here. As Midoriya he does go to bring his foot down and plant it. As Midoriya he does spin his blade to the dull side. Before he does just do a sword slash from left to right, well, right to left, and then he does go to bring one up and then do it a vertical way. As Midoriya he does then two strikes that way, they do both smash into the man. The man having the front of his kneecaps bend backwards as he's then hit directly in the stomach and flown backwards into a tree. And Midoriya he does quickly take the man down. The man smashing against the tree as he does break a part of his back. And Midoriya he does begin to start walking forwards. The man screaming out in pain as Midoriya he does bring his blade up to him, and he does then smash his foot directly down onto the tree, right above the man's head. You're that guy from the shop. Listen, don't kill me. You're a holy knight. You're not supposed to be participating in these games. Given the rules of this game, I'm not going to kill you. However, if I ever do see your face again, I'm going to take it, along with your life. Do you understand me? Now, Midoriya he does go to walk away, as he does step away from the man. Now, the man he actually does go to reach down for a potion, and he does go to toss it directly at Midoriya, as he himself does begin to start chugging a potion to heal his legs. Now, Midoriya he does directly spin around and go to catch the potion. As he does so, he does actually have something thrown at him. Now, Midoriya he does catch this other thing. But he does just look at these 2 glass bottles. And he does just toss them back at the man. Now, the man he does directly go to jump out of the way as these 2 things they do smash directly onto the tree and begin to explode. And Midoriya he does understand what those were. Those are certain chemicals that whenever they are mixed together and touch, they create something explosive and highly unstable. That must be nitroglycerin. Now, Midoriya he does commend the man, telling him that that was quite impressive. However, Midoriya quickly disappearing from view. As the man, he does look around the tree. Peekaboo, I see you. The man going to spin around and try and slash with his sword as Midoriya he does directly grab it. I told you, Midoriya does say. Him directly chipping the blade and breaking it in half. Now, the king is quite surprised. These are the best men they currently have available to protect the kingdom. And this one simple, dirty man is taking them out like nothing. That man is at least got to be a level 50 or above. He didn't know they put a level 40 within the games. Now, this is where the man, he does go to try and run away. And he does tell Midoriya that he's leaving, and he's very sorry. Midoriya, him not falling for that trick again, as he does go to bring up his hand and cast Fireball. Right, casting a level 3 spell. This is going to at least take the man down and knock him out. However, it won't kill him. At the very least, it's going to leave some severe burns. As the Fireball does shoot through the air, everyone there is surprised. Another set of magic skills? This blasting through the air and punching the guy directly in the back. It directly breaking through his armor as it does begin to melt, and he does smash into the ground unconscious. And what he does go to walk in a direction. He's pretty sure he heard signs of combat over here. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed, and have an amazing night. I'll catch you guys in the next part.